Today we are explaining the paper Introspective Diffusion language models.
What is the main claim?
The paper asks whether a diffusion language model can keep the parallel decoding advantage without falling behind autodecisive models in quality. The authors argue that the missing ingredient is introspective consistency, which means the model should agree with the tokens it just generated when it checks them again. Their ideal design is presented as the first diffusion language model that matches the quality of a same-scale autodecisive model while also serving faster.
Why were earlier diffusion language models still lagging behind?
The paper points to three concrete failures. First, older diffusion models often generate a token and then fail to endorse that same token on the next check, so reasoning becomes unstable. Second, the training and decoding spend too much compute per useful token. Third, their multi-stack denisaying pattern fits modern autodecisive serving stacks badly, so higher token parallelism does not turn into proportional throughput.
So what does introspective consistency mean in plain English?
It means the model should not treat generation and verification as separate personalities. When it proposes a token and then looks back from the next step, autodecisive training gets this almost for free because the model always predicts the next token from a causal prefix. The paper argues that diffusion models need to inherit that same discipline if they want autodecisive level quality.
What changes in training to enforce that?
The training recipe starts from a pre-trained autodecisive model and keeps strict causal attention instead of switching to a block style. Then assign view. It adds logged shifting and an all-masked objective so the model learns both to fill masked positions and to verify already proposed positions within the same causal structure. The paper emphasizes that this is a simple conversion recipe, not a heavy distillation pipeline or a masking curriculum. The key loss is shown here.
What is this balancing term doing?
The masked positions are harder, so their loss is usually larger. If the authors used a fixed weighting, the clean token verification path could become too weak. This scaling term adjusts the clean loss to the same magnitude as the masked loss. That matters because the whole point is to make generation and introspection line up instead of letting one dominate the other.
Once the model is trained, how does decoding actually work?
This figure shows the decoding idea. IDLM keeps strict causal attention, so every step produces at least one quality guaranteed token and may also propose several draft tokens for the next positions. On the next pass, those draft tokens are verified while new ones are proposed. The stride is adaptive, so easy regions move in parallel while difficult regions fall back toward autodecisive behavior instead of committing to a risky large block.
Why does that make it compatible with autodecisive serving systems?
Because the model never abandons the causal structure that autodecisive systems are already built for. The paper says IDLM can plug into an AR stack such as SGLine and reuse staged KV cache, continuous batching, and tensor parallelism. It also avoids a separate draft model, because the same network both proposes and verifies tokens. That is the system's reason the method can turn algorithmic parallelism into real serving gains.
What is the clearest quality result?
The headline result is in this chart. On MATH 500 at concurrency 32, IDLM8B matches the Q138B thinking autodecisive baseline and accuracy while delivering 3.1 times higher throughput. It also beats LLADA to 0.1 mini by 11.8 points on the same benchmark and runs for 0.0 times faster than SDAR there. In the broader benchmark set from the abstract, the paper reports 16.6 on A, ME 24 and 45.7 on left code bench V6, more than 26 and 15 points above LLADA to 0.1 mini.
Does the paper show that this self-consistency story is actually measurable?
Yes, this plot measures introspective acceptance rate. The autodecisive baseline scores 1 points auto 00. IDLM reaches 0.984, and the older diffusion baselines are lower, including 0.9 for 9 and 0.933 for LLADA variants, 0.699 for SDAR, and 0.568 for LLADA to 0.0. That makes the paper's diagnosis complete. The better the model agrees with its own earlier token proposals, the closer it gets to autodecisive behavior.
And what about real serving efficiency under load?
The system's evidence is strong. In the batching efficiency plot, IDLM converts higher tokens per forward into much steeper throughput growth, while SDAR barely scales. The paper quantifies that with a throughput growth slope of 549 for IDLM versus 80 for SDAR. It also reports that at concurrency 16 to 32, IDLM delivers to 0.2 to 3.8 times higher throughput than LLADA, to 0.1 mini and 3.7 to 4.5 times higher throughput than SDAR.
Is that gain only from the training idea, or did the serving stack matter too?
Both matter. The method supplies the self-consistent decoding pattern, but the serving stack is also tuned around it. The paper says QDA graph capture gives the largest throughput boost. between 42 and 76%, while stationary batch scheduling adds another 11 to 21% and Argmax proposals at 11 to 15%. So the story is not just a better model objective, it is a model design that can actually exploit optimized inference infrastructure.
What should I remember from the paper overall?
The paper's central message is that diffusion language models do not have to choose between parallel decoding and autoregressive quality. By making the model agree with its own earlier generations, then decoding with adaptive stride inside an autoregressive compatible stack, IDLM closes the quality gap and turns that structure into real throughput gains. That wraps up this paper walkthrough.